In 1978, in the windswept plains of Montana, a discovery was made that would rewrite everything scientists thought they knew about dinosaurs. Paleontologist Jack Horner and his team were excavating in the Badlands when they uncovered a fossilized nesting ground belonging to a species later named Maiasaura, meaning good mother lizard. The site wasn't just a random cluster of bones, it was a carefully organized colony of nests. Inside, the nests were eggs, fragments of crushed shells, and the delicate skeletons of baby dinosaurs. These young were far too undeveloped to walk or hunt on their own, suggesting they remained in the nest long after hatching. This behavior was radically different from what scientists had assumed. Before this, dinosaurs were believed to be primitive reptiles, creatures that laid eggs and abandoned them, like most modern lizards or turtles. But the Maiasaura fossils told a different story, one that echoed the behavior of birds or even mammals. It was the first strong evidence that some dinosaurs might have nurtured their young. That single discovery didn't just shake up the world of paleontology, it opened a door to a whole new way of thinking about dinosaur behavior, intelligence, and their connection to animals we know today. The fossilized remains found in Maiasaura nests were nothing short of astonishing. The tiny skeletons showed weak leg bones and skulls, not yet fused, clear signs the hatchlings weren't capable of independent life. In modern reptiles like turtles or lizards, babies hatch ready to crawl, dig, or swim. But these dinosaurs didn't leave the nest immediately. They needed time, food, and protection. What's more, many of the nests were found in dense clusters, spaced just far enough apart for adults to move between them. This suggested more than reproduction, it hinted at parenting and possibly even social organization. Some nests showed multiple layers, implying they had been reused across seasons. Scientists also found different age groups of juveniles, indicating that older siblings might have remained nearby while new clutches were raised. This behavior mirrors what we see in certain bird species today. The nesting site itself resembled a prehistoric nursery. Combined with signs of rapid bone growth, the evidence pointed toward regular feeding. These dinosaurs weren't just laying eggs, they were investing energy into raising the next generation. This turned the notion of dinosaurs as primitive animals on its head. They weren't careless breeders, they were potentially devoted parents with complex life histories. In 1923, paleontologists working in Mongolia's Gobi Desert uncovered the fossil of a small theropod dinosaur atop a nest of eggs. Believing the dinosaur was caught stealing them, they named it Oviraptor, Latin for egg thief. For decades, the image of this sneaky predator crept into textbooks, documentaries, and even children's books. But decades later, science would correct the story. Advanced imaging and analysis revealed the eggs weren't stolen, they were Oviraptor's own. In fact, the adult was brooding, using its feathered arms to protect the clutch, much like modern birds. One fossil even showed the creature in a protective posture, with its limbs encircling the nest. Embryos within the eggs matched Oviraptor's species, confirming parental care. What was once villainized became one of the strongest examples of nurturing behavior in non-avian dinosaurs. This mistake revealed something profound, not just about Oviraptor, but about human bias. Scientists had viewed dinosaurs through a reptilian lens, expecting cold-blooded, instinct-driven behavior. But as evidence grew, so did the realization that many dinosaurs might have exhibited social, even emotional behaviors. The Oviraptor case remains one of paleontology's most dramatic reversals. It showed us how science evolves and how the truth, once buried in the dirt, can completely rewrite a legacy. As more fossils emerged, especially from China's Liaoning province, another fascinating detail became clear. Many dinosaurs weren't scaly reptiles, they were feathered. Species like Sittipati and Troodon left behind exquisite fossils showing feathers, brooding postures, and bird-like nesting behavior. In some cases, adults were found positioned over circular nests, their arms spread wide, mimicking the way modern birds shield their eggs. Fossils also revealed eggs laid in paired, spiraled arrangements common in birds but unknown in modern reptiles. More astonishing were embryonic fossils curled up inside the eggs. Their posture matched the tucking position seen in modern bird embryos, controlled by specific brain structures that develop coordination before hatching. These similarities weren't superficial. They suggested a deep evolutionary link. In fact, the behavior of guarding and incubating eggs appears to have existed long before the first true birds evolved. Some paleontologists now believe that brooding, feather-insulated nests, and even vocal communication may have originated among theropod dinosaurs. Sittipati's fossils, especially, offer a snapshot of life frozen in time, a parent caught mid-brood, likely by a sudden sandstorm or volcanic event. These intimate scenes remind us that dinosaurs weren't just ancient curiosities. In many ways, they laid the groundwork for the parenting instincts we admire in birds today. Not all dinosaurs could hover protectively over their nests. The colossal Titanosaurs, some reaching over 80 feet long, faced a different challenge. Sitting on their eggs would have crushed them. But fossilized nesting grounds discovered in Argentina at the Alcamahuevo site told another story of parental adaptation. These nesting areas spanned hundreds of yards and contained thousands of eggs, often laid in shallow pits. Some eggs preserved skin impressions of embryos, confirming that life once stirred inside. The eggs were spaced in neat clusters, suggesting planning, not random scattering. Sediment layers show these sites were reused over multiple seasons, implying these dinosaurs returned to familiar breeding grounds. The strategy wasn't to raise each individual carefully, but to ensure survival through sheer numbers, like sea turtles today. Some evidence even hints that the nests were covered lightly with vegetation or soil, possibly to regulate temperature or conceal them from predators. Adults may have stood nearby, guarding the perimeter, though direct fossil evidence of this is scarce. Even without hands-on parenting, the effort involved in creating and protecting a large nesting ground indicates more thought and coordination than once believed. These titans of the Mesozoic weren't just giants. They were survivors who adapted reproductive strategies to fit their massive frames and harsh environments. To truly understand dinosaur parenting, scientists turn to microscopic clues hidden in the bones of juvenile fossils. Using bone histology, they examined growth rings in fossilized bones, like counting tree rings to determine age and development. In species like Maiasaura, these rings showed incredibly rapid growth in hatchlings, far too fast for a diet based only on scavenging. That suggested parental feeding. The bones also revealed alternating periods of fast and slow growth, which may reflect feeding cycles, times when parents brought food and times when they did not. In some nests, juvenile bones were found in clusters of different sizes, suggesting staggered feeding or sibling hierarchy. Shell analysis revealed differences in porosity between species. More porous eggs likely needed to be buried, as with modern crocodiles, while harder-shelled eggs were likely laid in open air, requiring active care. Some scientists propose that dinosaur parents might have regurgitated food, like many bird species today, or guided hatchlings to food sources. Though direct evidence of feeding behavior is rare, the physiological demands observed in growing young strongly support the theory of active parental involvement. These microscopic discoveries added weight to a growing realization parenting, in some form, existed among dinosaurs and shaped their evolutionary success. beyond bones and nests. Another form of fossil offered insights into dinosaur parenting trackways. These preserved footprints captured moments of movement frozen in stone. In Argentina, paleontologists discovered track sites showing 3 distinct size classes of dinosaur prints: large, medium, and small, moving in the same direction and at the same pace. The spacing suggested they were walking as a group, not fleeing or foraging separately. In some cases, smaller prints were found clustered between the larger ones, implying protection during movement. These weren't herds of random individuals, they resembled family units. Similar findings have come from North America and Europe, reinforcing the idea that young dinosaurs stayed close to adults. The consistency of pace and orientation implies coordination either by instinct or active communication. Such behavior is common in modern herd animals like elephants and bison, where young are shielded in the middle. Even birds like geese and cranes guide their young during migrations. These trackways provide rare behavioral fossils proof not just of presence, but of interaction. Though we can't see the parents looking back or the young chirping in response, the tracks hint at bonds that extended beyond the nest. For dinosaurs, parenting may not have ended at hatching. It may have walked beside them, step by step. While evidence of parental care is compelling in some dinosaur species, scientists caution against generalizing across the entire group. Dinosaurs were incredibly diverse, ranging from dog-sized raptors to the enormous sauropods. It's likely that parenting strategies varied widely. Some, like Maiasaura or Oviraptor, show strong signs of nurturing. Others, like Tyrannosaurus rex, remain more mysterious. Some T. rex bone beds contain fossils of multiple juveniles of similar age, possibly suggesting group living or extended contact. However, no nests have been directly linked to them. It's possible they provided some level of protection or taught young how to hunt, but the fossil record hasn't yet confirmed this. Likewise, many species may have used more primitive strategies, laying many eggs and leaving them behind. That approach works well in nature when survival relies on numbers, not care. Even today, species like sea turtles lay hundreds of eggs with no parenting involved. Evolution favors what works, and for many dinosaurs, sheer reproductive output may have been enough. The key takeaway is not that all dinosaurs were parents, but that some were, and in ways surprisingly sophisticated. Each new fossil discovery adds nuance to the story. Dinosaurs weren't uniform. They were as complex and varied as the animals we know today. For much of the 20th century, dinosaurs were portrayed as slow, dumb, and brutal giant lizards that lumbered, fought, and died without much complexity. Films like the early Lost World adaptations and even the original Jurassic Park leaned into these tropes. Parenting behavior that was reserved for mammals and birds, but as the science evolved, so did public perception. The once maligned Oviraptor became a symbol of misunderstood care. Museums updated their exhibits, replacing solitary skeletons with family scenes. Children's books began depicting dinosaur mothers shielding eggs and fathers guarding hatchlings. The idea that these massive creatures could be gentle, organized, and social challenged deeply held assumptions. Not everyone welcomed this shift. Some audiences still struggle to see dinosaurs as anything but monsters, but the science continues to push forward. As paleontology has become more interdisciplinary, drawing on genetics, physics, and behavioral biology, our image of dinosaurs has grown richer. They were not just survival machines, they were living, adapting, and in some cases, nurturing beings. This change in perception reflects something larger, our growing understanding that complexity is not limited to warm-blooded mammals. Even the distant past holds stories of care, connection, and evolution. Dinosaurs, it turns out, were far more than bones. They were part of life's deeper legacy. So, did dinosaurs care for their young? The fossil evidence from nests and brooding postures to microscopic bone studies and preserved trackways offers a clear answer. Some of them absolutely did. Species like Maiasaura, Trudon, Siddipati, and even the misunderstood Oviraptor demonstrated behaviors that mirror modern parenting instincts. These weren't just accidental actions, they were part of a larger evolutionary strategy. Parental care allowed young dinosaurs to grow faster, survive longer, and pass on their genes more reliably. In some cases, it likely involved feeding and protection, and even group migration. What's striking is how these behaviors link dinosaurs not only to birds, but to all creatures that invest in the next generation, including humans. They suggest that caring for offspring isn't just a modern trait. It's a deep evolutionary legacy that began millions of years ago.